You too, get over here.
Me too.
Yeah, okay. You get over here. So this is an exciting moment in the studio. I don't know if you guys saw the short that we did, but we picked up the new Model 3 recently, and it's in this vibrant red color. At first glance, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, it's a Model 3. What's the difference? But there's actually quite a few differences. And so in this video, myself and the Tesla Model 3 expert, who's put, what, 25,000 kilometers?
Yeah, over
For
just a year.
So he's really been driving the previous generation Model 3. So he's truly the expert on the topic. And instead of just doing an overview of the new one, we realized it's probably more useful to do a comparison, old versus new. What are the differences? What are our observations? And what are the insights from somebody who is intimately familiar with the old generation?
This episode has been sponsored by Tello Mobile, an unlimited phone plan for $25 a month, 35 gigs of data, and free hotspot and Wi-Fi calling. There are no extra fees whatsoever with Tello Mobile. There's no contract, no activation, and no early termination fees. Plus, you're getting nationwide 4G LTE and 5G coverage. Now, they've got a bunch of different updated plans that you can check out, including 5 gigs of data and unlimited minutes with free text for $14 a month. But you can dial that all the way up to unlimited data and unlimited minutes, $25 a month. And if all you need is 2 gigs and unlimited minutes, you're looking at $10 a month. And they got a bunch of different phones listed on their site, and they will sell you a phone. But the cool thing here, especially for you guys who are tech enthusiasts, is you can bring your own device as well. Now, you've also got some nice international calling features for up to 60 countries, including some popular ones like China, Mexico, and India. And since there's no contract, you can reconfigure your plan at any time. If you find out you need more data, less data, you want to save some cash, you can just head in there and make that modification. Now, they've also got a good coverage map over on the website, so if you click the link down in the description, you can head over, type in any address, and see how the coverage is where you're located. So thank you to Tello Mobile for sponsoring this portion of the episode. If you want to learn more, go ahead and click the links down in the description.
Okay, I feel like I need to set the stage a little bit. This model is a different specification than Will's model. A base model, Model 3, whereas this is a long range, so we've got 4-wheel drive over here, and it's a little bit quicker. However, the differences that we're gonna focus on don't really relate to that. Instead, it's a lot of slight adjustments, tweaks, iterations to an already wildly successful product. The cool thing is that these modifications are likely going to trickle into the other models as well. There's a moment right now where the most affordable Tesla model is arguably the most put together. It's odd. Obviously, I have experience with the Model S Plaid, and I'm driving this thing around, and I really didn't feel like I was missing that much. And in fact, with the new ambient lighting, the new suspension, new controls on the steering wheel, maybe the experience here is actually even nicer, which is odd considering the starting price.
I think I paid like the max price when it was the highest. But with my experience, I don't really regret it. I picked the Tesla over the Bronco, which I have the 2 cars. And I know it's a massive difference, yeah. But this to me just seems like an everyday drive. It's still very luxurious. I still really like it because it's quiet and it's electric. So I can show like how much I've saved in, I guess, electricity. Saved over $1,200, that's Canadian.
And you barely used a supercharger. Almost all the charging was at home. Let's get started on the differences here. And I think really it starts on the front end for me. Now, one of the observations we both made is how the new one doesn't have a license plate. That's not exactly a fair fight, because obviously it looks better without the license plate. You've got the front license plate on yours. The biggest design difference is obviously the headlights.
Yes.
The headlights are way different.
They're a bit more sleek.
They're way slimmer, they're more angular. I mean, both of them completely straight, simplified, I would say.
Definitely cleaned up. Honestly, still prefer the mine. The front just seems like a little bit sportier to me. That seems way more simple.
You know what's funny to me is when we first went to pick up this car, I said, that definitely looks better than the old model.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I said, in isolation. And now having them side by side, I think I agree with you. That the old one is just a little bit more personality up front.
Sure, yes.
Now, this is a company that's about efficiency and minimalism, and from a design perspective, I feel that I understand this decision. How do you create the fewest lines? How do you simplify? Like, if you look at some of the curvature on the front end here, does it really serve a function, or is it strictly for appearance?
I think it's a little bit of both. If you look at the hood for the new one, it's like a little bit flatter, and apparently it's just better for aerodynamics, but it still looks good. They somehow managed to, combine the looks versus performance. It's pretty sleek.
It's two different approaches. It's not a big difference one way or the other in terms of like my evaluation. Like, I appreciate both in their own way. I mean, look at the Cybertruck. It's if you want to talk
Completely
about,
opposite.
if you want to talk about angular.
And by the way, speaking of the headlights, I did make some modifications. I did add PPF and tint the headlights. I think it looks really nice with the stealth gray. It kind of combines it. It makes it cleaner.
But what's going on here? Is this a fog light?
That's a fog light. They removed it in the front for the new one.
There's no fog light option anymore?
No.
Another question I have for you, did you ever remove the aero hubcap, or you left it on all the time?
I kept the aero caps on.
Just better range guy.
Yeah.
Bit of a range guy.
I still like them. They're just very clean, but they are easy to take off.
Here we go. There he goes.
Oh.
That's some crazy noise it makes coming off. You get a little scared that you're gonna...
A little bit.
Like, you were going muscular there for a minute.
But I guess with these clips, they're pretty robust.
Does the wheel stay like that, or what happens to the... Is there a cover that goes over the center portion?
Yeah, you can get lug nut covers
Yeah.
and the center.
Yeah, okay. He was like, look, I'm not gonna do it. The Javier at Tesla was like, I'm not gonna do it, but you can do whatever you want. We're like, all right. Well, that came off even easier. I guess brand new, right?
Yeah.
That wheel design is different. That's coated black.
Yeah, color, but also design.
That's kind of a nice look, honestly.
Yeah, I've always liked the matte silver.
So still removable on this model, although you would likely you would leave the aero cover on there. You're a range guy.
These are called the new Photons.
Let's go.
These ones. Wonder if they actually fit.
Whoa.
I don't think they do.
Whoa, easy there.
These clips are not really aligned.
Proprietary. You got one more bang right there. Ultra red. It's a $2,600 option Canadian, and the new gray is called Stealth Gray. You've also got Pearl White Multicoat. That's a $1,300 Canadian option. This is interesting. The default color is Stealth Gray included, and the other colors all cost money.
Really?
Including
even the white?
Black is $2,000. White is $1,300. They want to put these Stealth Grays out on the road, don't they? Now up front, the Tesla emblem remains the same. However, on the back, they changed it. And this is another one I'm kind of mixed on my feeling about it.
I think overall, the actual look of it just seems a bit tighter, and it looks better, in my opinion.
I can agree that the rear end looks better, but I think it mostly has to do with the taillights. When you open this up, the taillight goes with it.
Sure.
This piece here, and then the taillight wrapping around it. It just looks more unique, whereas this it seems like a generic
It's a two-parter.
taillight that you would see. Wow, look how clean your car is, Will. With the floor mat back there and everything.
Yeah.
Now this is my only thing with the Model 3, because when I drove it, I was like, by the way, what is this beep? You have that like that?
It's always been like that.
Can you turn that off?
No. No.
That's an ugly beep.
It is, yeah.
This is nimble, this is quick, extremely easy to drive in chill mode or normal or whatever you want to do. But the one thing I miss is you got the classic trunk where it basically is a hatchback. Like, I don't get it. Take out that centerpiece, have that baby lift somewhere here, put a piece of glass, well, you got a hatchback. And I don't know if that's a thing about cannibalizing the sales of the Y. and don't get too much utility out of the 3. It's not horrible. Like, you still get a big opening. You can put most things in there. The seats still fold down. You can live with it. But if you imagine this car as a hatchback, it's just a beauty. I don't know. I feel like you could keep almost an identical design.
And I agree with you. Like, in my experience, when I have to lug like a big cooler or like a grocery basket, it's way better to actually prop it up if you have the space.
The storage and everything back here is extremely similar, if not identical.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. You got the 2 little compartments here for other things, and then you have like the main space as well as extended storage here, which I feel like it might be a little bit bigger. It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah, it really seems the same.
Oh yes, one compartment is missing in mine. Like, there's an extra compartment
On the right-hand
right
side?
Yeah.
You don't have that.
No, I wonder why here. Because you have the charging port on the left side.
The
but
charging
there's
port
also-
has also changed, has it not?
It's the same.
Identical?
Yeah, pretty much.
I just remember when it changed on the Model S from this sort of side opening thing to the, hey man, that was rude. From the side opening to the top opening like that.
But I do like the idea of like this kind of hinge because it blocks the rain and blocks the snow. That's pretty much how it goes.
That's true.
So it's nice. It acts like a little roof.
Talk about a little awning.
Yeah.
It's a little charge awning. How about the camera systems out the back? Do you find them to be comparable?
All the cameras are upgraded. The quality is
Much better, right?
much better.
Okay, so Tesla emblem here, Tesla spelled out here, like an ode to the Roadster. And you feel that it fits into the back end better than the emblem?
I think it's because of the design of the headlights. It's somehow it just complements each other.
You know what else happened back here is this little two-tone piece at the bottom. That's what happened here. It shrunk, it slimmed down the rear end here.
People say that it looks more sporty.
It looks like
I can agree with that.
it's a little bit more like my Taycan has a lot of pieces like that. Through using darker two-tone pieces, you can sort of slim aspects of the car, make it sportier.
Sure.
That immediately makes that sportier than that rear end over there.
Yeah, it kind of flipped in terms of design. That one looks cleaner, but this one
is
looks
busier.
more performance.
They traded complicated front end for complicated rear end. It's an interesting choice.
There is one note that I want to go back to.
Let's go back. Listen, this is comprehensive, guys. Whether you're in the market for the old Model 3, new Model 3, like you can probably get a deal on this one, and Will loves it. We have the foremost expert on all things Model 3, so we're gonna cover it all here. Go ahead, Will.
All right, just one little thing. I've always had a gripe where the washer fluid actually is, and it's here. A minor thing, but you really have to like reach over, put like a funnel in, and then it gets all over the place. In the new one, it's right here.
Whoa.
That's it. It's just simple. You
Huge
have like the
improvement.
space to do it. Obviously, changing washer fluid, not that common, but it's like these little design choices, I commend them for.
That right there is enough for me to go to the new model, right there. Yeah. I'm like front end, rear end, whatever. Washer fluid right at the front. Look
That's
at this.
it, man.
Look
I'm
at me
telling you.
filling up here.
Yeah. Again, it's not motorized. You still kind of have to, two hands.
That always
down.
freaks me out, the last push there.
But how often do you use your front?
Never. Because it's not motorized up and down. On the Hummer EV, all the time. But I don't shy away from using it. It has a bed, a pickup bed, so that fits a lot of stuff, so you don't really need to reach for it as much, but road trip, whatever, just on your key fob, up, down. Like this. Oh, there's a leaf there. That, not satisfying.
I agree.
Let's go ahead and open the door and talk about some big things that happened here. The glass, the dual pane. You go ahead, like this guy's fired up, go ahead.
So there is dual pane for mine, but only at the front.
Okay.
So if you look at the back here, it's not. It's just one. But for the new one, it's dual pane for all sides.
Why would they not? If they gave it to you on the front, why don't they give it to you on the back over there? Interesting.
It's cost savings, I guess.
So, dual pane, what does that mean? Wait a second. Wait a second, let me do that again.
That sounds a lot better.
Oh my goodness. What?
Yeah. There's a noticeable thump to it immediately. When I closed the door, it was just very satisfying.
That is so weird. This is the benefit of having these cars side by side.
Yeah, it's the little things.
Is that like significant closure? This is a more luxurious car, whatever. Like, I may have noticed that, but I wouldn't have known the exact amount of difference unless I had them right beside each other.
Right.
And then I say, wow, this feels like a cheaper car. Now, it is weird how our minds like draw that distinction. How a door closes?
And they didn't have to do it, but they did it, I think mainly because they re-engineered the door to be more quiet, like the ambient.
I think they did have to do it. And
Really?
well, the reason being is because there's so much more competition now, right? You've got all the big players, all the luxury brands are making electric cars. And those companies have
Door experts.
100-year history of door closures and all the other car things that aren't batteries
Yes,
that they got into recently that they're pretty good at.
sure.
Small little details which car buyers who go and look at these things may notice. They may say to themselves, they may go look at this generation Model 3 and then they may cross shop it against something from Polestar or Audi or VW. And now they can play in that space and say, don't talk to me about door closures.
Yeah, we know all about it.
Don't talk to me about panel
Have you
gaps.
seen the Model 3?
It sounds good. That door closure sounds like it belongs on a car of this price tag. It really does. Now, another thing to note, the way in which this thing closes has actually changed. You see this little section down here? It latches and seals more tightly by squeezing that door shut and creating a better seal. Again, you're having cabin enhancements from like a privacy and a sound and a road noise perspective.
With my experience with this car, like the door rattles very slightly, but you notice it on just rockier roads. And it's noticeable on the driver's side, mainly because that door is open the most. After a year, probably tighten up, but this, at the very least, helps with the ambient noise inside, but also with any kind of predictable rattling in the future.
Yeah. Now, I just want to say something while we're here. I'm used to driving a big car, at least right now in the winter. So I'm taking the kids to school and I have like a booster seat. And I was thinking, man, the Model 3 is a small car. And so when I jammed everybody in here, I was quite surprised at the interior space compared to the exterior dimensions. You would drive from there?
Yeah.
Okay. So check this out, guys. Like, two guys, both 6 feet tall, in a small car.
You got room back there?
Tons, man.
Okay, good.
Now, this is not like a new thing. I guess the old Model 3, like headroom, legroom, and obviously no hump. It's a weird amount of space to have within these dimensions. Now, there's also changes on the inside, and maybe the change on the inside are actually more significant than those on the outside. So let's go ahead and get a closer look. Okay, so the thing that strikes me right away when I come into this cabin is this like open pore wood.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but like it gives it some personality. It's slightly less generic and it just makes me think of like a skateboard or something. The other thing I'm noticing now is the camera quality. And obviously this is a lot fuzzier than on the new model.
Sure.
And also the display itself, the size of the bezels. Now, you've put some accessories into this car. In fact, we're using one of them right now to power the camera that we're looking at here.
So this is kind of like a little USB charging station. If I want to just like quickly charge with a cable fast, I can actually do that. I could just pull it out and then charge it.
This is not official either.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, you're crazy with the accessories over here.
So yeah, I figured like there's got to be a better way than just like a gaping hole.
Easy. Oh my God. This is aftermarket too, isn't it? This cup?
And this screen protector is matte.
And then the dog bed in the back.
There's a whole setup for the dog bed. I got the official Tesla dog seat, and it has like these panels here, if you can see. protects everything. It's pretty much like a wall, and it kind of just simply clips onto the windows here. So, yeah.
Now I'm also noticing, since I'm looking back here, the rear console, you have vents and a couple of USBs, but no display, like the new one.
Yeah.
Let's go to the steering wheel. This is the most polarizing change. So you've got the previous generation steering wheel. It's a wheel, for one.
Sure.
No fancy yoke behaviors.
You've got the nipples.
You have the nipples, and more importantly, you have the stalks.
The stalks, yes.
And the stalk is, on the right, is controlling your drive mode, park, drive, neutral, reverse. And on the left is controlling your
windshield wiper and indicators.
Indicators.
The signals.
Myself, coming from the Model S, recent generation, with the yoke and the buttons for indicators and buttons for horn. No horn in the center. Like, I had the most advanced version.
They were tied to like here.
So irritating.
Did you ever get used to it?
No. Okay, the horn is crazy. Having the horn be a button, it's crazy. And you don't think about it when you first get it, because obviously you don't use the horn very often. But in that moment where you might need it, where somebody doesn't notice something, or you're trying to it's extremely urgent, and it just needs to be a huge button. Even on the new model, it is a huge button. It's the center, it's where it should be. So they went backwards on the horn, but they did not go backwards on signal indicator. And we both, I assume we both feel the same way, that it's inferior.
Yeah, so much so where I feel like that's a deal breaker for me. Mainly because I've driven the new one for about a week, still not used to it. I still don't get it.
Okay, the buttons on the new one are a bit better. They
have tactile feedback.
They're more satisfying, maybe with a little bit of texture improvement to individual textures. By that I mean like some sort of shape or indentation. And maybe a lot of this as well is just habit, and the fact that the stock is so tried and true. It's so obvious and mechanically satisfying. Boom, it's on, it's off.
It's a physical switch, on and off.
You're yelling right now.
Eventually, it'll become self-driving. You wouldn't even need a wheel. Times when I'm just doing a roundabout and I'm just like, where's my button?
You love
like
it.
What?
You're a stock guy.
Yeah.
You're a range guy and you're a stock guy. And Otis is very confused as to why all of us are sitting in this car inside the studio. He's like, that's my car, by the way. He's like, my dog bed is back there. So Mo, you have no business.
Yeah.
Did the seats change at all?
These headrests are not very comfortable.
Yeah,
they
so
don't
firm.
they don't push your head up a little forward. Like, you really have to lean back while you're driving.
Sleeping?
There's no modifications at all.
Yeah.
It's literally just stuck on there.
So just before we jump into the other one, for those that are unfamiliar with this steering wheel, these two nipples that are there right now can control, well, they control all kinds of elements in the vehicle.
And I use these more often than not, like especially for voice control. Open mirrors. So I find it pretty useful when I'm actually pulling into the garage. Just folding the mirrors kind of helps. And using voice control, I feel like it's more intuitive than I originally thought.
What else? Anything else? Oh, the sound system. Yes. How do you feel about the sound system in here?
I still think it's quite punchy. It's got 9 speakers, and the base model for the new one has 9 as well.
Okay.
What's really changed is long range model for the new one,
this one
has 17.
17.
Whereas the old long range has 14.
I gotta say, I was using the sound system in there when I was driving it, and I was like,
yeah,
this thing can go.
That's good.
Should we listen to the sound system? I mean, it physically vibrates you. The sub is
way more low end.
Your seat is vibrating.
And it seems clearer too.
It's great. I mean, It might not be like extremely refined, but the punch is significant. This is good.
As you can see, Mo, the
Whoops.
seats are perforated.
Yeah, now I'm getting cold air.
Yeah, it kind of works, eh?
It
It's
works.
like a nice subtle.
Yeah, it works. Damn right it works.
All right.
Okay, so the ambient lighting, obvious.
When you're driving at night, the ambient does get lower in brightness, mainly because of a lot of people's complaints of it being so reflective on the windshield. During the daytime, I didn't really notice.
I noticed it get dimmer at nighttime.
Was it distracting?
Definitely not during the daytime. My daughter loved it. She was like, Dad, there's a pink light right here. Because she's sitting back there. And I'm like, listen, I know. And I said, it can be any color. It's the only Tesla that has it. Now, obviously, this dash has changed. We have this sort of fabric. The wood is completely gone.
Yes.
And there's more of this suede-like, Alcantara-like material. And then this light beam travels all the way into the rear seats. Stalks are gone. That's the biggest change in here. And they are now on steering wheel, which I don't know also if the shape changed. You have a flat bottom on yours, but it's like maybe more flat now.
It feels generally the same.
I feel like the material is maybe slightly upgraded.
I feel like it's a subtle upgrade, you're right. I've never worn down my steering wheel. There is durability in the old one as well.
So you still have like an indication of where to hold it. And this is where the thumb thing comes in. These signal indicators have more responsiveness than they did on the Model S that first showed them off on that yoke. Like, this is so much more functional. And this is the type of thing which I think you could probably make a safety argument for both the stock and the horn. But the horn is like a must. You could save somebody's life with a well-timed horn.
Yeah.
Camera button I love. That's a new addition.
You like that one?
That button was not on my Model S. The same wonderful feedback and just a commonly used thing that I don't want to reach for the display. The display and the cameras, the improvement is evident to us. I don't know how much it comes through on camera. When Otis pops his head in, it's obvious we're dealing with a superior image. And since we don't have either stock, we have this change for drive mode, for selecting drive mode. This is the same thing I had in my Model S. No stock here, so you're swiping up or down. And then sometimes it's trying to remember your location and the obstacles and the way you entered a parking spot. And it's trying to do it automatically at times. I don't know how much confidence you have in that, but we now have this overhead view, which is so much better. Oh, Will wants to talk. Go ahead, Will.
Dude, I had version 1 of this UI and everything was flat. You couldn't move anything. You couldn't like rotate the vehicle and see the things around you. It was squiggly lines and it did not help at all. And most of the time it was super slow to load. By that time, I'm already driving.
Yeah.
So this is actually a huge improvement where you can actually see certain structures and there's hot spots as well.
But this software is running just as well in your vehicle as it is in this
Yes,
new one.
very smooth. I would say that even like parking, if you want to align the parking lines, they appear.
Yeah, the lines are inside the graphic.
Is it better than a bird's eye view? It looks cooler. The fact that you can see like all these cool 3D shapes.
Now, in this vehicle, there is another way to change the drive mode, and it's actually up here. And as you can see, you can select park, reverse, neutral, drive right up top. So this area has changed not just because you can now select your drive mode up there, but also because these lights are now touch sensitive. So there's no click necessary. I don't know which one I would use. I mean, this is kind of out of the way.
It is, yeah. The other big thing that is not in the old Model 3 is the wireless charging is actually upgraded. I think that's really useful. If you have like a really thick case, or like me, you have a wallet as well, it can actually just charge through it.
Now this area here changed a little bit. The feeling of these doors here is am I wrong about that?
So they changed the whole layout of this.
Right.
They only had one compartment here that slid, and then you had the cup holders which were just out in the open.
Inside of here, you've got a 12 volt at the bottom. And then you've also got a Type-C in here.
And it's 67 watts, right? So
Yeah.
you can charge
Fast.
a laptop.
This open and close is much more elegant. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. The way it should be.
So this is what's missing in my Model 3 for kids, for people that's sitting in the back. And it's a nice display. It's quite vibrant. You can control the climate here as well as playing some YouTube videos. You can control music. Here are all the streaming platforms here. Oh, it's Twitch. That's really strange, eh? Here's the heating compartments here. You can control the waves independently. And yeah, I mean like, oh, jeez. Oh, for this one, this is actually kind of cool. So if you're sitting on this side and you want to have more leg room, you can actually control the passenger seat at the front. So you can stretch out.
What? There is somebody there. Whoa, rude. So rude.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to lock that for my kids for sure, man.
next level trolling.
They're gonna be trading leg room.
All right, so we have a dog in the way, but the cup holders and the middle seat is actually a bit different, where the layout looks a bit more clean, I guess you can say, but it's not too much different. The storage compartments in the back of the chairs, these have changed. They have like this elastic portion to it where it kind of snaps back. The older Model 3 just has like a little pouch. This one is actually just like a harder shell, whereas the old one is soft.
All right, so we are now on the road, and I want you guys to pay attention to the noise, or lack thereof. Barely hear this car to my right. It's not a thing that you would normally do in a vehicle. You're not like sitting there trying to distinguish how much noise is making its way through. But like, watch when I put this window down slightly. Right? There is the road. That's what the road sounds like. And the road goes away. Ooh. Oh,
I'm telling you.
it's plenty of pull. It's plenty.
Easy now.
Plenty of pull. I put the sport steering on. Woo-hoo. Yeah. We'll take it. The suspension is another thing. It's tougher for me to analyze since I didn't spend a lot of time with the previous generation Model 3.
I think the best way to describe it is the old one, you feel every bump, where the new one, every bump is kind of just like smoothed out just a little bit. I think they did a really good job with suspension, like in general.
I sort of feel like the two things are somewhat connected. The idea of like road noise, isolation, and suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are the components that are contributing to overall comfort. And they're subtle, but collectively, they enhance your experience. And sometimes it's completely subconscious, like whether you are looking for it or not. And it's kind of in the same realm as this sort of general quality analysis, where Tesla has improved in this vehicle. They've improved in my quality analysis. Those little detail type things, the doors, the way they close, the thump they make, the haptics, the feeling of the closing of the glove box.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
That's a nice, subtle warning that a car may be in your blind spot. But there is still the fact that when you hit the stock is mechanically engaged, and then when you complete the turn, it's mechanically disengaged. Like that click is information that you use as a driver. The same thing happens here, but it's more subtle. Okay, so that was a seamless, smooth trip for lunch. I mean, I can't really think of any way in which you might improve that. I mean, I guess you don't have to get this long range model. And the range difference, like this thing is like 550 kilometers, right around there, which is also plenty of range. I mean, you didn't even feel the need to get the long range model, and then you went and put 25K on it in a year. As long as you have a good charging setup at home, this is such an efficient model in the sense that every charge minute, charge hour translates into so many kilometers traveled.
And city driving, I think, is perfect.
This is going to just be an ideal method of transport for a tremendous number of people, whether we're talking the previous Model 3 or this Model 3, and this just refines it. 100% Colombian. Apparently they have good coffee here as well. It's the food of Colombia and Venezuela. This we have some beans, some shredded meat, and I don't know if this is the one, but like one of them has some plantain in it as well.